everything stated in this video is my opinion and my opinion only. And just like everything else in these cases we discuss here on this channel, everything is alleged. Hey guys, how are y'all doing tonight? It's good to see y'all in here. Hey there, Becca. Hey, Carla, how are you? Hey, Third Apache. Angelo, how are you? How are you? Hey, Ice Queen. Hey, Tara. Oh, it did send notifications out? Good. I know I mentioned in our live earlier that I wanted to go live tonight to go over the stuff with Anna's case that we have now, but I forgot to actually schedule it, so I just put it out about 30 minutes ago. So I'm glad that it was sending out notifications. Dame Shutterbug, how are you? How are you guys doing? Hey there, Sweet Pea. Hey, Sarah. Hey, Nona Robin, how are you? Crystal, how are you doing? Yeah, I mean, I honestly wouldn't have even probably gone over it if you guys would have told me that it existed, because I didn't even know that she had done any interviews. So, I mean, just more examples of things. That's all it did was prove more points. Hey there, Anne, how are you? Hey there, Wade. Hey there, Mary. So we haven't talked about Anna's case since like November. I went back and checked it. I think it was last night to see when the last time was that we talked about this case. And November is the date of the video. That also, but it makes sense because that's also around the time of all the 11/12 camera stuff in the Idaho 4 case. The end of November into December, like it was really, really heavy into the camera footage and the stuff coming out in that situation. That's why a lot of the cases that we start talking about, it's sort of difficult once a big batch of information starts coming out in the Idaho case, because that's our deep dive case, to keep up with everything. But I wanted to take a few today and go over some things. And now I've gone into Pacer and I've grabbed 2 of the more recent documentations that were unsealed. We have one for them wanting to not allow him to bond out, like not allow him to get bail since he's now being charged as an adult. And I also pulled a document from today that got filed today. That is the notice of attorney appearance for an Abigail Emily Becker. She's a federal public defender. So we're going to go over that stuff. We're going to go over a couple of review type things just so that we can refresh ourselves on this insane situation. Now, I don't remember verbatim every little thing. We talked about it as things were happening with the information that was coming out in the parents' like divorce and custody court or custody court stuff, because that's where the majority of the stepbrother being the one, if not really like everything that proved that the stepbrother was the one that they were looking at, came from their custody battle, the documentations from the custody battle. And then that stuff started being like suppressed. They didn't want it out into the public because it was like giving all the details of everything. But we found out that there was a lot of blame on the parents and technically the grandparents, because they were there too. I don't know how much they knew ahead of time about the situation, but they were people that there, and they were responsible parties for these minors. And I know that Anna was 18 and technically an adult, but you're a kid to me at 18 still. Like there's no. So there's a lot to blame here, especially when the mom is admitting that she skipped 2 very important doses of medications for the then 16-year-old. That's the stepbrother that did all this crazy stuff, or at least is being indicted, formally charged for doing all of these things. Now, I know that here recently they have mentioned that now they have SA charges now added on to his situation. But from how the documentation's coming out, it's not that there were signs of it on her body when she was found underneath that bed covered in, what was it, life jackets, because he tried to hide her after the fact. It was a previous case, something that happened prior to the cruise even happening. That's why I want to go back and take a listen to what the older brother actually said in court. And we're going to listen to the clips from her ex-boyfriend, because Anna's ex-boyfriend came out here from almost in the very beginning and was talking about how she was scared to even be around the stepbrother, that she was constantly spending the night at other places because she didn't feel safe around him. And on top of that, he had apparently witnessed the stepbrother coming in and getting on top of Anna at some point. Like there was already allegations of that situation happening before we got to the court stuff. So now that it's actually showing up in the court documents, I wanted to go back, take a look at that stuff. You will see his face. Now for YouTube, the way that I know that they were going to try to probably play things to play it safe, I did not have him with his full face or his name showing up on the thumbnail. And when I go in and I write the like little case summary that I put in for all of these, I'm going to probably end up having to use his initials. Even though he's now 17 and even though he's being tried as an adult, you still have to be careful. But his face is in some of these articles that in this one specific article, I'm going to pull up towards the end here. And I'm going to show you a clip of him walking, but we do have pictures of his full on face. He looks like a 16-year-old kid. Like a little ginger, freckly 16-year-old kid. Like an ag barn kid. You know what I mean? Like an FFA country kid. Like that's what he kind of looks like a kid. He looks like a kid. He looks like a kid. This case is crazy, especially since they're alluding to the parents knowing that there was an SA type situation or an actual situation where it was more of a grape situation. I hate having to talk like this. It was more of that kind of situation than an SA situation. And yes, there are two different things. But they're calling it for it to have been like pretty severe. And that's why she was afraid of him, and that the family apparently knew all of this and they still allowed them to stay in the room together. And we also need to remember that these were step siblings and the mom and dad hadn't been married for very long. So you're having an 18-year-old, a 16-year-old, and a 14-year-old, I think, stay in the room together, technically unsupervised, because let's face it, she's only 18 and they barely know each other. Like, honestly, what a weird dynamic. Yeah, he just looks like a little country kid. He looks like a little country kid. And again, her like walking off and like saying she didn't feel very well and going back to the room, and nobody checked on anybody all night. Like that was around like dinner time. And it's like 11 o'clock in the morning when everyone is meeting up for breakfast that they realize that she's like not there. So they didn't go and like check on them, see where she was. Nothing on a cruise. Like, you know how like quickly somebody can disappear on a cruise. You've got all these kids bunking together. Not the grandparents nor the parents thought to go and check on them at all throughout the night. Not to make sure they were in the room, stayed in the room. Nothing. Not, hey, good morning. Hey, we're going to be meeting for breakfast. No check-ins ahead of time to like, what? That's wild to me too. Like, I will not go on a cruise with my kids. Like, I want to go on a cruise so freaking bad. I don't have people to watch my kids. I do everything by myself. There's no one that will watch them for me to go and do anything like that. 2, there's no one that I would trust enough to go with me on that thing. And 3, I would never go with my children because there's no way that I could relax. There's no way that I could even sit down and even think about relaxing because anything could freaking happen. Those things are so scary. It gets so dark out there. Like, I'm sorry. How do you just not go and check and make sure that your kids are okay? Collectively, as 4 grown-ass people. I don't understand that mindset. So it's a lot. It's a lot. So we're going to start going over just a couple of things here. First, we're going to look at this. Now, I will show you guys real quick. This is the official website that has the information. The DOJ website that has the statement that we're going to go over in a minute has these links to the Southern District, Florida website and a PACER, but I went through with those links and they are not loading. They don't freaking work. I tried all day yesterday to try to get to just, that's the wrong thing. I tried all day yesterday to try to get to the page that has the official information actually on it. And the way that the case number was being put in there, for some reason, it wasn't showing up for me. I don't know why, but when I tried it today, it populated. So maybe because they just unsealed everything because he was being charged as an adult, it took a little bit longer to show up. But people like News Nation people and mainstream people were talking about how this was like released yesterday and they were talking about the documents and some of them had the documents, but it didn't show up publicly for me until like 3 hours ago. Because I was just going to go off of some documents that were already posted, but they weren't like the full thing. It was like 2 of 4 pages and like 1 of 3, and that's not what I wanted. So I finally found it, and it's right here. And it took forever to find it because these pages were not cooperating. They really just were not cooperating. Now, mind you, they originally filed this back in February of 2026, but they didn't release anything until just a few days ago. And because he is being transferred to adult prosecution, like because everything was being sent over for adult charges. There was then an order to unseal as a 410. They decided to unseal everything except for like just a few of these. And I don't know what they are. They might be like his mental evaluation stuff. I don't know what they are. I didn't get the chance to look that far into it. This isn't one of our deep dive cases. Just keep that part in mind. So then they had a thing about release pursuant to the bail reform. And what I have is their document number 58 that was filed by the state, not by the state, but technically, I guess, by the country. It's the USA versus TH. So there's that. It's them saying the reasons and their citation of law for the reason why it should be revoked and he shouldn't be allowed because he's dangerous. Because he's dangerous. And then we also have the notice of attorney down here that I'll show you guys too. So I'm going to play this one first. This again is the ex-boyfriend. He's just sort of giving a little bit of a rundown of what he has seen, what he was told, how she was afraid to be around him. I mean, a lot of people really didn't want to believe the guy too much because he was an ex-boyfriend and it was a stepbrother and it could be like a jealousy type thing is the kind of comments that I kept seeing everywhere. Turned out home dude was being serious, that there really was some really not okay stuff happening here. I don't have it like playing the whole like everybody else talking. I tried to get it to where it was just like him because I don't want to listen to all the news people too much.
Downs through the door. Anna's ex-boyfriend says he spoke to the cheerleader's brother about what happened that night.
He heard him yelling at her like in a harmful way. Of like, shut the hell up and stuff like that. And that's when Connor knew something was going on.
And there was screaming going on.
Yes, ma'am. Like something was like banging around and stuff. And like the chairs were getting thrown around in the room.
Anna's ex, Joshua.
I mean, it sounds to me like the younger brother was literally listening to him injuring her and fighting her before he ended up taking her life. That's what it sounds like.
Who spoke with Inside Edition following her funeral at a church outside Orlando. He says that Anna was so afraid of her stepbrother that she frequently slept over at her friends' homes.
She just didn't feel safe around him.
Joshua says the 16-year-old stepbrother, who is now under suspicion in Anna's death, was sexually harassing her. He says he once saw him trying to climb into bed with her.
She's scared to tell anybody because she was scared that he would do something to her.
The FBI is investigating Anna's death because it happened in international waters. There was a tense atmosphere at Anna's funeral last night. Anna's biological mother told Inside Edition she was banned from attending, but snuck in wearing a wig. Mourners were told to dress in bright colors to reflect Anna's bubbly personality.
It's been pretty hard. She was my first love. She was the greatest thing ever.
Crazy. Yeah, remember that they were acting crazy about the mom, the biological mother, showing up to the funeral, and she had to like sneak in and said that she had to wear like a disguise and stuff just to get into her daughter's funeral service. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. Okay, so this is the older brother. This is not the 14-year-old. This is one that was apparently older. We did go over this one some months ago when he took the stand, and what he said was really shocking about the way that they had to, I guess, stop the guy from doing certain things, certain fights and stuff that he talked about. It's about 8.5 minutes or so long, so let's listen to this again. And then we're going to move on to just a small clip of him kind of walking, I guess, towards court yesterday. You can see a little bit of his face, but when we get to the Daily Mail article at the end, Anna's father talked to them a couple of, well, I guess earlier today, because it was posted today and then updated around like 6 something, it looks like, Eastern time. So it's fairly fresh. But we're going to go ahead and listen to this first. Hold on, let me tell y'all what date this was, because this stuff has been going on for months now. This was December 17th, 2025. So maybe we didn't go over this because we didn't talk about it since November. But I remember watching this.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Yes. So if there's any witnesses, you said, Mr. Molinari, that you have no witnesses here?
No, just Andrew Hudson and then Thompson.
Okay. And there's no other witnesses from you, Ms. Addison?
No, they're outside.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Hudson, please raise your right hand before me. So I affirm that everything you tell the court, the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Okay. I'm going to need you, sir, to speak loud into the microphone so I can hear you, okay? Okay, thanks.
Let me turn the captions on for y'all. I can do that on this one.
Mr. Molinari, you may proceed.
I'm gonna put him up higher.
State your name.
Andrew Hudson,
And Andrew, how old?
18,
And when did you drink?
October 4th this year.
October 4th, you said?
And Andrew, where do you?
So he would have just turned 18 because he said he was 18, right? Let me rehear that. I just kind of zoned out for a second.
18.
Okay. So he just turned 18, like right before this happened. This happened early November, like November 6th, November 7th.
And when did you drink?
October 4th this year.
October 4th, you said?
A month before this crap went down.
Andrew, where do you?
With my dad,
And where is it?
in Ridge Manor, I believe.
What time?
Let me see if I can put the link. Because I had to log into Pacer and then search with the case number. And then it took me to like a weird website. I had to like figure out how to work it a million times because it wouldn't load. It would give me like a weird ass menu off to the side. It took me forever to finally find it. But the case number right here is what you have to search with. So I put those in the chat.
Hernando,
And how long have you lived with your father?
about 2 years.
Has your father ever denied you access to your mother?
No.
The entire time that you've been, has he ever told you that you cannot speak with, communicate, visit, or see Chantel in any way, shape, or form?
No.
So, are you currently in school?
Yes.
Let's back up a little bit. There was a time when, obviously, your mother was married to Thomas.
Yes.
Obviously, you were alive during some of that time period.
Mhm.
Do you ever recall a time in which your father verbally, physically abused or assaulted any of your siblings, either TH or PH?
No, sir.
You ever see a time when he was verbally or physically abusive to your mother? Something.
No, sir.
Now, they got divorced, correct?
Yes.
And then as a result of the divorce, you had to do, like most normal kids do, you had to do, not a great thing, but, because it was
Yes.
And so roughly between 2022 and let's call it January 2024, did you in fact have regular visitation with your father internet?
Yes.
And were your siblings, both BH and TH, were they present during these visitations?
Yes.
Was there ever a time that you witnessed either yourself or your siblings saying they did not want to visit with or spend time with?
No, sir.
Sure.
During the time, no.
Has there ever been any
Yeah.
allegations
Back in
of
December.
abuse, physical or otherwise, by your father of yourself or any of the children?
I'm aware of apparently a BB gun, someone getting shot with a BB gun, but other than that,
And then, so during that time period, was there ever a time in which either yourself or BH or TA said they did not want to spend time with your father?
no.
So I want to move a little bit forward to 2024, and you're in high school. Right?
Yes.
And what year are you now?
My senior year, 12th grade
And when are you going to graduate?
this year.
And how are you doing in school?
I'm doing good.
Going to graduate on time?
Yes, sir.
And do you have any plans for after school?
I plan on going to trade school to possibly get put on an oil rig out in the Gulf.
And did you actually apply to trade school?
I've been looking around to see what trade schools are open to it.
And that's something you want to pursue after high school.
I
Yes,
don't
sir.
understand why they asked him all those.
All right, so I want to take us back a little bit now to the
Like,
spring of
what that has to do with
2024 timeframe. And was there an occasion in which your mother told you that she wanted to move to Titusville with both your siblings?
She said yes.
And what she said?
She said that she was going to move over there with those two and that I could finish out my senior year of high school over here.
So your mother specifically told you that you could spend the rest of your time, your high school time, here, well, there in your neighborhood.
Yes, sir.
Was that important to you?
Yes, sir.
Why was that important to you?
It was my senior year and I knew everybody over here and all my family's over here. So it just, I would.
What high school did you go to?
Hernando High School,
And those are people that you went to high school with for the entire time there?
my whole life.
And then, so, did there come a time when you told your,
There's supposed to be. I remember he talks about an event in a
After
car.
I finished grade of, and that she said that this is what she was afraid of and that this is why she didn't want me staying over here.
so I want to fast forward to an incident on April 22nd, 2024. Do you remember roughly that day?
Maybe that's what this is.
Yes.
So what happened on that day?
Hi, Lisa.
I was called up to the front office and I originally didn't know what was going on, so I came up without my stuff. I realized my mom was there to pick me up, so I had to go back to my classroom and grab my stuff. And when I walked out to the car with them, they asked for me to give them my phone, and they powered off my phone and then told me,
Let me stop there for a second, break. So the time that you were being called to, was it the principal's office or?
it was to the front office, the main office.
At the time that you were called, did your mother communicate to you at all, hey, the reason why that she was going to school?
No, sir.
Did you have any knowledge or idea that your mother was going to school to get you on that particular day?
No, sir.
And then when you get there, were you surprised that you saw your mother?
Yes, sir.
Was Christopher Kepner there as well too?
I don't remember if he was in the office at the time, but he was in the car for sure.
And then, so you, the mother, Chantel, escorted you from the office to Christopher Kepner's vehicle?
Yes. Well, it's our vehicle, but yes.
And then, so what happened once you got in the vehicle?
They asked for my phone. They took my phone. I powered it off, and then
So your phone did have a Life 360 or a tracking device?
yes,
Does a Life 360 or tracking device work if your phone is turned off?
no, not to my knowledge.
And then, so do you have any means to communicate with your father or anyone else about what was going on at that particular moment?
I was going to try to text my dad, but I couldn't because they had my phone. I couldn't communicate with anybody.
It's
Did you
like
want
they
to go
basically
with your mother,
kidnapped him,
Christopher
right?
Kepner, on that day?
No, sir.
Was that against your will?
Yes, sir.
And then, so what happened once you were in the vehicle and then you started?
I gave them my phone. They powered it off. They told me where I was going, that I was going to start school over here, which was against everything we've talked about. I told them no, I wasn't. And when we tried going to a stop, I tried getting out.
Mm-hmm.
So at any time were you trying to harm yourself or commit suicide?
No, sir.
You were just, what was your intention of trying to get out of the vehicle once they came to a stop?
Trying to get out of the vehicle so they couldn't take me away from everything.
And then what did Christopher Kepner do at that point?
They had held me against the seat, and he put his arm around the back of my neck, holding me up against the front seat. She held me there as well.
Was your mother still in the front seat or did she go to the back seat?
At that time, she had crawled to the back seat and started holding me.
And then Christopher Kepner, what exactly did he do with his arm?
He put his arm around my neck, like, pushed me up against the front seat.
So was your head pinned against the front seat?
Yes, sir.
And did you remain conscious the whole time or did you black out? Or?
I believe I blacked out once or twice on the way over there.
Okay. There was issues in that household for a super long time. The stepdad is out of control. They were trying to do everything they could to hide what they were doing. And they obviously, because of the charges and the way that things are going on and the way that people are talking, did know that there was some stuff going on, which we're going to get to those documents here in just a minute. So this is just a little court thing that shows the dude walking. Like, it's not even, like, they don't say anything important, so I'm going to mute it because I don't want to hear him. But this is him. This is him walking right here. You can sort of see his face a little bit, but this is him walking either into court or they're leaving court, one of the two. This was like yesterday. Now, I don't know which attorney that is because he does have a new attorney now. There is 3 on the docket. But he had 2 already. I don't know which one she is. I don't know which one she is. Okay, so this is the actual Department of Justice statement that came out yesterday from their official website. So I can make this bigger, and then I will give you guys a link for it. Okay. This is their official statement right here. I'm going to read this, and then I will show you guys a little bit of the docket, and then we'll go over some of the documents that I grabbed from there. Okay, so this says, make sure you guys can see it. Okay. Miami, a 16-year-old has been indicted as an adult by a federal grand jury. Well, he was 16 at the time that it happened, but everything that I've been reading since yesterday says that he's now 17. So I'll need to go back and check when his actual birthday is because this happened in November of 2025. Okay. A 16-year-old has been indicted as an adult by a federal grand jury on charges of murder and aggravated SA in the killing of his stepsister. That would be Anna. According to court records, his name is Timothy something or other. What's his freaking last name? I want to say Hudson. Timothy Hudson is his name. But because he's technically a minor, even though he's being charged as an adult, they keep him with the initials. You'll see that it's like that here too, when it's where it says defendant, TH, a minor. They keep it that way, even though they're charging him as an adult. Okay. According to court records, TH, 16, of Titusville was traveling aboard Carnival Cruise Line's Horizon with Anna Kepner and other family members on or about November 6th through the 7th, 2025. During that time, while the ship was in international waters en route to Miami, TH allegedly SA'd and intentionally Kepner. Now, this is saying that, but they have been talking. This is why I wanted to go through all the documentation. They originally told us that her body didn't show any signs of anything like that happening. So them now saying that while the ship was in international waters, that he did SA her before he killed her is interesting because them saying that they didn't have any signs of that is the reason why they believe that there was incidents that happened beforehand. So they're going to have to change their statement for that if they're going to say that this happened in international waters before he took her life, because that's definitely the opposite of what they've told us. Okay, the Miami-Dade Medical Examiner's Office later determined the cause of death to be mechanical asphyxiation. Now, I remember why it was important, the way that guy just described the situation where he was basically being kidnapped by his mom and stepdad, okay? The choke hold, the arm hold, the way that he was describing the stepdad grabbing onto his neck and holding him is basically the same maneuver that they're saying is what took Anna's life. So that's why it was important. That was the connection there. Okay. Our hearts go out to the victim's family during the unimaginable loss, said U.S. Attorney Jason A. Redding. Don't even know how to say that last one. Not even going to try because this is going to be wrong. For the Southern District of Florida. A federal grand jury has returned an indictment charging serious offenses that allegedly occurred aboard a vessel in international waters. We will present the evidence in court and pursue this case with professionalism and care. As in every case, the defendant is presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. TH was initially charged as a juvenile by information on February 2nd. That's the file date on the other website. The case remained sealed until U.S. District Judge Beth Bloom ordered it transferred for adult prosecution. TH is charged with murder in the first degree and aggravated SA. If convicted, defendant faces a maximum penalty of life in prison. Now, because he was actually a minor, they've already decided that regardless of if he is found guilty or not, he will not be eligible for the death penalty. That's what's been circulating over the past few hours. U.S. Attorney Redding and Special Agent in Charge Brett D. Skiles of the FBI Miami field office made the announcement, and FBI Miami is still investigating the case. So then we have the actual website right here. And a lot of this stuff was stuff that sort of like went on sort of behind the scenes. There wasn't a lot being talked about because they weren't allowing people to really have any information whatsoever. But I pulled, let's see, the motion for review and revocation when it comes to why they don't want him to have any bail. And they do have some information in here. It's a 14-page document. We're going to go over the factual information. And let me see if there was another one because I can buy it real fast and pull it off of here if I need to. Ta-da. These are all, well, it's actually interesting that we're just now finding out because, like, look at this right here. It's interesting that we're just now finding out about him being charged as an adult because back all the way on, like, St. Patrick's Day, they're talking about a motion for hearing to finalize transfer to adult prosecution and unsealing. They've been talking about it for a month now. That's interesting. Look, well, actually, I've been talking about it since almost as soon as he got charged. Right here on 2/24, there's a motion to transfer case to adult status. So the charges were filed on 2/2 up here. And it says this main document was replaced yesterday on 4/13/26, entered on a 2/3. So if I open this one, is it going to be the new one? I mean, it's only 20 cents. Let me buy it and see what it says to me. No, this is the original one. But it's so small. This is just a motion to seal. So that's not even the right thing anyway. Let's see, it has to resubmit the form. See, this is the weird stuff that it looked like. And then you just have to run the report and then it pops up everything. But it took forever for me to be able to actually get to this damn page. I'm trying to see if they have anything else in way of him being charged as an adult. Before that. No, yeah, 4/24. Motion to transfer case to adult status. So I guess it just took them this long to, I guess, finally agree to it. But this one right here is document number 58. It's the second to last one that was on that list. So I wanted to go through the relevant factual background of what they're saying in it. Now, I'm not going to go, like I said, we're not like super deep diving this case. So this isn't going to have like a Google Drive or anything like that. And these documents are only like 20 cents a piece. So that's literally nothing. So we're just going to go through them when they actually have something relevant that comes in when it comes to like evidence wise. Can I make that bigger? Okay. So this is the relevant factual background for the reason why I guess the FBI technically does not want him to have any sort of bail. They don't want him to be able to get any bail through the Bail Reform Act. They don't want him to be able to get out once but I also don't think that he's actually in custody right now. Let me see if he's actually been like arrested and held. Because I don't think that that's happened. Because he, let me see what it says. He's been staying with a family member. Like, I know that he's charged, but was he actually like arrested and taken in? Yeah, it was transferred to adult court. They won't release her autopsy report, which I don't really quite understand. I mean, if it's something that's normally done because she's an adult and they won't release it, I guess the only reason would be because he was a minor. But now he's being charged as an adult, so I don't understand. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see where they're saying that he's actually been put in custody yet. Has he been put in custody yet? Like, I don't think he has. That's the whole reason why we're going to go over this article right here from the Daily Mail, because Anna's dad talked to them today. It says published this morning and then updated, what is it, like 6:30 almost Eastern time today. And it says he's pissed because he's still living with a relative and he's not in jail. So I don't really know why we're talking about bail reform and like any of this stuff, unless somehow I'm misunderstanding what this is like all about, if he's not actually arrested yet. But let's go ahead and see what this says. Relevant factual background. On or about November 7th, 2025, AK, which, why are we abbreviating her initials? Okay, Anna, an 18-year-old female from Titusville, Florida, was found deceased in the cabin she shared with the defendant, her step-sibling, and her half-sibling on a Carnival Cruise Line ship, Horizon of the Seas, while the ship was on the high seas en route to Miami, Florida. The subsequent investigation of Anna's death resulted in the instant prosecution against the defendant, a 16-year-old male, Timothy. Pursuant to the provisions of the JDA 18 U.S.C. 503, the United States Attorney for the Southern District of Florida first filed an information on February 2nd, 2026, making allegations against the defendant for one count of murder in the first degree and one count of one aggravated SA. And then it says on February 3rd, 2026, the defendant surrendered himself at the United States Attorney's Office in Miami, Florida, and was officially arrested. On the same day, the defendant had his initial appearance on the information before Magistrate Judge Torres and pled not guilty to the allegations contained in the information. It's basically like the affidavit. The defendant also demanded discovery, and the magistrate court entered the standard discovery order on this matter. Additionally, on February 6, 2026, a detention hearing was held. Upon the government's request, the defendant be detained for dangerousness. The defendant requested the magistrate court also conduct a probable cause hearing. The JDA detention hearing, Magistrate Judge Torres found there was probable cause for the alleged charges, but denied the government's request for detention. So you see that this kid essayed and killed this girl that was his step-sibling, and you don't allow him to be put in some sort of juvenile detention center at that time? Girl. I mean, I don't know if that's a girl or not. It just says Torres. I didn't see a first name. Did I see a first name? I mean, even if it is a first name, that's not a girl. Girl, what are you doing? What are you doing? As a result, the magistrate court released the defendant to the custody of a family member with various conditions. At first, I heard it was an aunt, but all of the more recent information coming out is stating that it was an uncle. Either one, there was a situation that took place where he wasn't going to be able to stay with the person that was assigned to him for a while, and he was allowed to go to work with like his dad or some shit, and his dad is apparently a landscaper. And I'm like, okay, so you're just letting this guy who's an SAer and a murderer just run around in neighborhoods because his daddy's a landscaper and he needs a babysitter? Like, what? The insanity of literally every single case out there. It's not just Idaho. It's not just stuff with Kylie Rodney's case. It's not just stuff with Delphi or stuff with Karen Reed or any. It's literally, there's something everywhere. There's something literally everywhere. I don't understand this judge's answer here. That's really freaking insane. That's really crazy. Okay. Defendant was given to the custody of the family member with various conditions and entered an instant release order. The JDA detention hearing, Magistrate Judge Torres also stated the government could ask to revisit the defendant's release status. Could this court transfer this matter to adult status prosecution? So because he was only 16 and being charged as a juvenile, you want to play stupid? That's really dumb. On February 26, 2026, this court entered an order transferring this case to adult prosecution upon motion of the government and a written request of the defendant. So the defendant's asking to be tried as an adult? Am I not reading that right? Let me slow down. On February 26, 2026, the court entered an order transferring this case to adult prosecution upon motion of the government and a written request of the defendant. The court entered the order based on a motion turned in by the government and the written request of him. So yeah, this means that he wrote a letter asking for it to be transferred to adult. Am I reading that right? That's what it sounds like. I wonder if that's the case, why he would request that. Being charged as an adult is definitely a much harder punishment than being tried as a juvenile, right? I'm very confuzzled. Ooh, maybe. It's very odd. That's weird. That's kind of weird. Okay. Pursuant to the transfer order and that code, 18 USC 5030, the United States filed certifications from the juvenile clerks of court of Miami-Dade and Brevard counties on March 10th, 2026. That's so weird. Yeah, juveniles can be released at 21, but so why would you purposely ask to not be tried as a juvenile? That's weird. Okay, well, I don't know. All right. Furthermore, on March 10th, 2026, 12 days after the court's transfer order, a federal grand jury in the Southern District of Florida issued a superseding indictment charging the defendant with 1 count of murder in the first degree in violation of 18 USC 1111A, count 1, and 1 count of aggravated SA in violation of Code 2241A1. On April 8th, 2026, so last week, after a hearing, Magistrate Judge Torres found the proper certifications had been filed with the court. Thus, Judge Torres ordered the transfer to adult prosecution be finalized in this matter and further unsealed the docket. As a result, on April 10th, 2026, this matter was formally transferred to adult prosecution. Okay. Consequently, consistent with Magistrate Judge Torres's pronouncement and pursuant to 183142 and 45, the United States requests that the release order be reviewed and revoked. Moreover, as more fully discussed below on page 13, the government also requests that a status conference regarding the scheduling of a hearing about this motion be held. So this was filed yesterday, right? 413. So this was filed yesterday, them asking the court to do what the court said they were going to do. So this Judge Torres said that until he's in adult prosecution, until this is in adult court, I'm not going to hold him. So now they're basically saying, okay, you said this, now we've transferred it, and now we're asking you to do what you said you were going to do. That's what this sounds like. Pretty basic from like the context here. I don't want to really want to read through all of the laws. I want to see if there's anything else in a way of actual specifics. Here, given these parameters, it is clear the court has the jurisdiction to order and conduct the review of the release order. This matter is now in adult prosecution, and the question of the defendant's pretrial detention or release is governed by the Bail Reform Act. Moreover, government is asking the court with original jurisdiction over the offense to review and revoke the release order. Magistrate Judge Torres acknowledged that the United States could seek a review of this release order once this matter transferred to adult status. The government has filed the instant motion on April 13th, 2026, after this matter officially transferred to adult prosecution on April 10th. Thus, the motion is timely filed. Consequently, the court has jurisdiction to adjudicate this motion. The JDA provides two paths forward. First, should the matter proceed in delinquency, the district court must decide if the juvenile should be a judged delinquent of the acts accused. Alternatively, should the necessary requirements exist, Section 5032 provides the process wherein a juvenile accused of an act of delinquency may be charged and prosecuted as an adult. Once the defendant's matter was transferred to adult prosecution, many of the provisions of the JDA no longer apply to him. For example, a transfer to adult prosecution means the defendant is subject to adult criminal procedural rules, as found in the Federal Rules of Criminal Procedure. Additionally, if found guilty of the crimes of which he is charged, the defendant will be a convicted felon, not an adjudicated juvenile delinquent. Big difference. Moreover, the court could also sentence the defendant to the same terms of imprisonment as an adult, and he would not be entitled to release at the age of 21. These changes are not inconsistent with the fact that the defendant is also afforded the same rights as adults charged in federal court, such as the provisions outlined in the Speedy Trial Act and the right to be charged by indictment, amongst others. Here, the defendant was initially accused via information of acts of delinquency. Subsequently, however, this court ordered this matter transferred to adult prosecution, and the defendant has been indicted by a federal grand jury. Thus, now the procedures set forth in the JDA no longer apply. I'm trying to see if they have anything else evidence-based in here. I mean, I don't really need the law to tell me, or any citations of law to tell me why this guy should not be not behind bars. You know what I mean? It's plain and simple. The defendant should be detained. The fact that he wasn't allowed, the fact that the judge did not detain him simply because he was still being charged in juvenile court at that time is disgusting. But, you know, not shocking. The government therefore respectfully requests this court order and conduct a review or revocation of the release order under the provisions of the Bail Reform Act. Just the simple fact that the damn judge said, move it over, and then, yeah, we'll talk about it. Like, I don't even know why we have to do this. It should have been something instant. Like, the second that everything was agreed to, they should have locked his little ass up. Ugh. That's crazy as hell. That is crazy as hell. Okay, let me see what the other one was. Yeah, no, that's what everyone's pissed because apparently they've been hella standing up for this guy. Now, I don't know what they've been out there actually saying. I don't know. I have not bothered, nor do I want to lose my sanity going on any Reddit page or any Facebook page or any group or anything like that. So I can only assume that's where the majority of this stuff is coming from. But that's what a lot of people are saying, that they've been hella taken up for him. And it's really been making people upset because, like, how can you possibly do that knowing what you know? You know? This is the most recent document. It's really not important other than the fact that now there's going to be a third public defender named Abigail Becker added on to counsel. There was already two other people. I think it has their names up at the top over here. Yeah, there was already this Eric Martin Cohen and this Evan Lewis Cole. So now they've added Abigail Emily Becker. Now that might have been who was walking with him yesterday, maybe. And they've just now filed her notice because he was walking with a female. And he wouldn't be walking with Alejandra from the state's attorney's office. He wouldn't be walking in with the prosecution. So I'm wondering if that's who that was. That's probably who that was. Okay, so I just wanted to look at this article for a few minutes because her dad talked to the Daily Mail about why the hell this guy is not locked up. Why in the hell is this guy still running around? I wanted to get this big enough to where I can. Can I switch me? I can switch me? I don't think I've ever done it from this side before. That's weird. That's a little weird. I don't know if I like being on this side. It's a little strange. Okay, but this is at least a little bit better. Okay, so I first saw TMZ talking about this, but I always know to like look for their actual source because half the time, if not more than half the time, it's not their own shit. And it was Daily Mail, which is bad enough as it is. But this is who Christopher Kepner decided to go and talk to. And again, this was today, April 14th, 2026. It originally came out at like 8 o'clock this morning, but there's been updates to it as of this evening. So let's just go ahead and go through this real quick and see what he had to say. Anna Kepner's grieving dad has branded the 16-year-old stepbrother accused of taking the life of and essaying. This is okay. See, this says her. Okay, I read it wrong. Okay. He is a danger to the public. He's basically saying that Timothy is a danger to the public. And yes, I completely agree. He also said, I want to see him in an orange jumpsuit. Christopher Kepner said his family are outraged by a court's decision to let Timothy Hudson live with a relative instead of being locked up ahead of his federal trial. Hopefully that will change. Hopefully that will change. There's no answer to that motion that we just went over. And it's only Tuesday. Okay, something should shake. And I don't see why it should take more than a day. Like there's no reason for him not to be locked up. Especially if they're going to try to say and blame some of what happened on the fact that he missed some of his medications that his mom didn't give him, then obviously he's kind of dangerous, yeah. And obviously the family is not capable of making sure that he stays medicated and does what he needs to do. They've proven that. So I don't understand why that was even a thing. That just blows my mind that that judge was just like, yeah, but we'll charge him as an adult and then we'll rethink it. The age doesn't make him less dangerous. I mean, that's kind of been proven. He also said the boy has yet to apologize or show any sign of remorse for killing Anna. We're upset that he's still out there. We're 6 months in and he could already have been arrested and yet he's free to do whatever he wants now. Yeah, this happened in November. Early November. That's our problem. He's been able to do whatever he wants and go wherever he wants, but the family's been sitting here unable to do anything. Yeah, I understand that. I understand that on my own level, for sure. Definitely not like a losing the child level, but I understand that on my own level. I want to see him in an orange jumpsuit and handcuffs. He does not need to be free. He does not need to be in the general public around any kids or women in general. He is a danger to himself and a danger to others. Christopher said he and his wife Chantel, Timothy's mother, have not spoken to the boy since December when he was placed in the care of a paternal uncle. See, and there he is. He looks like an ag barn boy. See what I mean? Ag barn boy. There he is with Anna. Him getting certifications of achievements at a Christian school. We'll go back to the pictures in a minute. He's still saying he can't remember, and that's about it. He hasn't apologized. He hasn't shown any remorse for anything. The charges were announced late Monday morning by the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of Florida. A statement said Timothy had allegedly essayed and intentionally took her life. Our hearts go out to the victim's family during this unimaginable loss. A federal grand jury has returned an indictment charging serious offenses that allegedly occurred aboard a vessel in international waters. We will present the evidence in court and pursue this case with professionalism and care. Yeah, that was the whole thing. I just want to know what the dad had to say. And then we'll go back to all the pictures. This is Anna's dad and the stepmom right here. All the rest of this looks like they're just repeating the same thing. That the DOJ statement said. Yeah, this is okay. This is. We're blurring it. I imagine that's that new attorney. This was yesterday.
you like to tell the public anything about how you feel? Anything you want to clear up about what happened on that day? He's wearing a hat, he's covering his face, his attorney is holding him for walking. Yeah.
Okay, then it says he has made several closed door appearances in the past month, with journalists barred from covering the case because of his age. No, I did listen to bits and pieces of a couple people talking about this yesterday, different news people. And somebody said that even though he is being charged as an adult now, that it's not going to change us being able to view anything in way of court because it's going to be held in federal court. So that sucks, because I would like to know like what's happening, what actually is like evidence wise that comes out. Because again, if he was a minor at the time of this, right? And the mother has already admitted that she didn't give him his insomnia meds, that he went 2 nights without medications, and she's the like person that's responsible for that. How come she's not getting charged for something here? I feel like her neglect, her medical neglect of his kid, if they're going to try to blame it on his lack of medications, then how come there's not something happening with her? This ended a life. This wasn't like he just like threw a chair and now he's getting like private property destruction or whatever the frick the charge is. This is serious. You chose a strange place that's not known to anyone and chose not to give him his medications to keep him regulated. Why aren't you also in trouble? I feel like she should be in trouble. She's admitting she didn't give him medication. Like that matters here. It'd be different if there wasn't medication involved. If there was no history like that involved and there's nothing that she, has said about medication, it's bad enough that nobody bothered to check on them overnight, but the medication thing like tips it. You know what I mean? It definitely tips it. It says that she was pronounced dead at 11:17 a.m. on November 7th. Yeah, because they were meeting at 11 o'clock in the morning the next morning after not seeing her since like 6 or 7 o'clock p.m. the night before, and didn't even bother to go to the room to say good morning, wake the kids up to get them ready to go, or like anything like that. Like they were literally just living like they were kidless on that damn thing. That's wild to me. The Daily Mail was the first outlet to report that her body was stuffed under a bed in the cabin she was sharing with her stepbrother and 14-year-old half-brother. She had been wrapped in a blanket and covered with life preservers. Yeah, he tried to cover up her body with life vests. While her half-brother wandered around the ship taking photos, she was left alone with her stepbrother, who takes medications for ADHD and insomnia. So this is where she said she was going to bed the night before. But we also had like different stories on that too. So originally, we were told that it was at dinner time that she got up. She said she wasn't feeling very well, so she went back to the room. And basically, just like a handful of minutes after she left, both of the boys got up and left. So she apparently, according to the grandparents, ended up leaving the room again after that. Like she went back not feeling well, but then ended up meeting them in like the gambling room or something like that. Do you guys remember this? The grandparents said she came and met up with them in like the gambling room or some casino room or something like that, just to like hang out with them for like a few minutes. And then she ended up leaving again. So she left during the dinner time thing and then went to her room. Said she wasn't feeling well, came back out, had been dressed, said she was feeling a little bit okay, but then ended up going back to the room again after that. But no one bothered to check on any of them. No one bothered to check on the situation. So according to this, at some point, I guess after she left from the grandparents, the little brother left and she was in the room alone with Timothy. When the younger boy returned, he didn't see Anna, but assumed she was staying up late with Christopher, Chantel, or their grandparents, Jeffrey and Barbara Kepner. He climbed into his bunk and went to sleep, unaware, sources says, that his sister's body was hidden just feet away. So yeah, he killed her while the other boy was gone. It wasn't until the next morning when the two boys headed to breakfast that the family realized Anna was missing. A medical emergency was announced over the ship's public address system, prompting Christopher, 41, to rush to her Deck 8 cabin where a cleaning crew had just discovered the body. A law enforcement source later told ABC that Anna died from asphyxiation caused by a bar hold, suggesting an arm was pressed against her neck. So I guess it could either be like this or like this down on her neck and like pressure. It could, I guess, be both, because I've seen him like move around both ways. And yeah, he's basically said from the beginning that he doesn't remember what happened. And apparently as soon as they got back, he was rushed off to a hospital. Is how I'm understanding it. All right, let's see. And there she is. She just turned 18. Ridiculous. Big ass shit. Crazy stuff. Yeah, I don't really think so either. Yeah, him missing medications for ADHD for 2 days. That can't be the only issues with him. If missing medications for 2 days makes him homicidal, then that's not the diagnosis, and they're not being honest. And if it has nothing to do with a different diagnosis, then this is just something that happened because this is who he was. And I really do want to know what else has like led up to that. Like what else happened? What happened? And I really want to know why they originally told us there was no signs of SA on her body. Like if there really was still no signs, because they're not changing their mind on that, at least nothing that I've read. Now the other document that got updated when it comes to the charges, I'll get that one tomorrow and go over it and see if there's anything else in there, because there are some other documents that have information on there that I just haven't gone in and grabbed them yet. But I'm just curious as to if that little tidbit of information is going to change, because they did say there wasn't a sign of it. So if there's still no sign of it, did he like admit to it? But he can't to have admitted to it because he's still claiming that he doesn't remember anything, right? Yeah. Yeah. Something. Yeah, I think that's the two documents that they still have left sealed, because it looks like there was only two that were left actually sealed in the unsealing, if that makes sense. Yeah. They're saying it was planned. Well, see, originally, I mean, maybe originally we were told that the boyfriend was supposed to go. The one that we watched at the beginning, he was apparently supposed to know, like supposed to have gone, but then they broke up. So then he ended up not going. That's what I'm wondering too. But like still, they said in the very beginning that there was no signs. A swab testing for something would be a sign. So I don't know why they said that, if now they're charging him with that. I'm going to have to look. There's just, yeah, it's just really sad. And again, if they're going to try to blame it on meds, which for the type of meds, I do agree. It doesn't seem like something that missing 2 doses would have caused a problem with. I would have been more concerned about him taking his medications for ADHD and insomnia and then being allowed to drink on the ship, which is another thing that has come out in their custody stuff, that they were given drinks. So either she's saying that she neglected to give him his medication so that no one knows that he was on medication and was drinking, and maybe that kind of mixture caused it, because that kind of mixture can cause it. I know that for a fact that kind of mixture can cause it, especially in a teenager. So who really knows what's going on? We know that eventually her test results will have to come back. Medication, there's no way that he got off the ship and went straight to the mental facility or the mental hospital, because that's what they're claiming happened, that he went to a facility afterwards and they didn't blood test him to see how much of his medication was actually in his system. And because of what was going on, that would be considered stuff that would be evidence. It might be part of the stuff, again, that's sealed, but if they were doing their jobs correctly, then they would have definitely blood tested him. like as soon as he got there. So I guess we'll find out the percentages that's in his blood, because that's how they check and make sure that you're on your shit. They blood test your levels. So I don't know. It's just really sad all the way around, because it seems like she was already worried about being around him. She was sleeping everywhere else to not be around him. Obviously, the uncomfortableness had to have been known by the parents, right? See, and that's why the memory loss thing too. Like, I'm wondering if he was allowed to drink and he was on his medications, and that's the reason why maybe he doesn't actually remember anything. I mean, there's a lot to consider in this situation, but we need to remember that not all of it's out there yet too. But we have a parent claiming, yeah, he's on medication and I failed to give it to him, with the other parent claiming that he's being told that they were being given alcohol on the ship. So I guess we'll find out what happens. We will find out. Yeah, she went to bed like hella early. Really early. Yeah, I remember that. But also there's a stepdad, there's grandparents. There's an alarm. Like, somebody could have like remembered to do it, or he could have had it like first thing. There's a way to do it. I mean, we dealt with Ariel being on ADHD medications for a really long time. And yeah, there was times where sometimes things slipped by. There was always a way to fix it. There's always a way to get it back on track. Nothing ever went past a time to where it was a noticeable situation. It'd be like a day, maybe a few hours past the norm. But on a cruise, on something that's like out of the comfort zone, like that's kind of dangerous. When you're out of your comfort area, when you're not home, when you're not around anything that you know, for there to be like a medication issue. But again, those medications being missed, I don't see that being an issue, unless, like she said, something about multiple days. Yeah, like Lady Di said, if he was like awake for 3 days in a row, couldn't sleep at all, then maybe like delirium, craziness. But they're not trying to really say much about that. Everyone failed. Yeah, everybody. Everyone failed, for sure. Not even an exaggeration. That's so crazy. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and jump off of here. I don't know what we're going to talk about tomorrow, but we're going to talk about something. I know we're going through the exhibit, so that might be the only thing that comes out tomorrow. Maybe a clip of something important from a previous live, because I do try to go in and get the little small things that we talk about out of there that aren't the subject, that need their own little thing. But other than that, probably the next exhibit. And it's about the Pullman car, because the last one that we did with Gilbertson's. Let me make sure nothing else came out. I haven't checked the page in a minute. Like, I checked it on our live earlier, but that was it. I know that the last thing that we got was about, well, the update in the case summary for the Idaho 4 case is the restitution information that they are doing something with, but we don't have any documentation on what it is. Nothing at all. All right, you guys, I'm going to jump off of here and go do some stuff. You guys have a super, super great night. Thank you for being in here with me to get caught up on this case. And we'll update as we go, but we're not doing a super deep dive. Like, when something comes out that gives us a little bit of information into something else, that's when we'll talk about it. But there are channels out there that are heavily digging into this one, going over all the documentation. I don't know who they are, because I haven't been watching them. I've just been seeing updates here and there over on Twitter, and then, yeah. But you guys have a super, super great night. Thank you so much for being in here with me tonight. I'm going to go ahead and roll this out. Please do not forget to leave a like on your way out and subscribe to the channel if you are not subscribed already. All right, you guys. See y'all.